All right, Dirty Sports, episode 763. We are live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Morning.
How's it going?
It's going all right. I'm back from my mini trip to the lovely town of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
You went just for what, one Reds Pirates game?
Yeah, well, rain affected everything. So the forecast was supposed to rain all day yesterday and all night. In fact, the game was delayed. So we had to change our plans and leave earlier Tuesday to catch the Tuesday night game.
Got it.
Because obviously I had to be back here.
Because you knew the game yesterday might be canceled.
Yeah.
Postponed.
So I was planning on going to that game.
Who'd you go with? Cutter?
Yeah. So easy drive. It's the Vegas to LA vice versa drive. Under 300 miles, smooth 4.5. Pretty. Like once you hit West Virginia, you got the Appalachians, you know, the low mountains, the low hills, go through a lot of the rivers, the Ohio River mainly. Nice drive. I'll say Pittsburgh's a pretty city.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty.
Yeah. I mean, all the bridges, just like the way it's geographically where it's placed, it's nice. Really nice, like old feeling downtown.
Sure.
Definitely like it almost has like a really nice college town vibe. And obviously, you know, it is like there's the University of Pittsburgh there, but most big cities have a college in it, but it almost feels like that's a big part of the city.
Yeah, I didn't see Pitt. I know Duquesne is downtown as well. So you have two colleges. But I thought it was pretty. I liked it. Like you said, the bridges, the rivers meeting. That's a beautiful ballpark.
Yeah. I've heard it's one of the best.
It's really cool to cross the Roberto Clemente Bridge, right? To get to the ballpark, how the ballpark is open towards the river. It's a beautiful park. I was debating where I want to put it. It's not San Francisco. I'm really putting San Francisco.
San Francisco's a good one.
That might be San Francisco's top 3 for me.
Now, when we went to San Francisco, was that your first time in San Francisco?
It was.
Okay. I always feel like, and because I love the ballpark in San Francisco too, but I always feel like, man, those seats are so goddamn good. You come through that club area, you get to walk by the batting cage and all that. It's like, I always wonder how much of my ranking is swayed by the fact that like it's those are the best seats ever.
Well,
the best experience.
I have a similar comp. We were second row behind the Reds dugout.
Okay.
So my seats are the exact same basically location.
Yeah. Great.
At PNC, which take a guess. Tuesday, September Pirates game. What do you think second row behind Reds dugout cost?
$88.
Way off.
Less?
Way less.
Wow.
They were, let me see.
Pittsburgh. That's kind of sad for Pittsburgh.
With
Steelers time.
Yeah, with taxes. Well, they're not a good team. With taxes and fees, $113.58 for 2 tickets.
For 2. Wow.
They were like 50 before fees.
That's crazy.
Second row. And very dirty sports moment, which I know you'll enjoy. So Cutter orders the tickets. Second row, seats 2 and 3. And he says to me, dude, it's Pittsburgh. There's going to be no one in that first seat. So we're going to have the first 3 seats. There's this guy sitting in the first seat by himself. Reds fan who knew nothing about baseball. And it was one of those, he wasn't wearing any Reds gear. I didn't learn till like 4th or 5th inning that he was rooting for the Reds. I don't know if he's from Pittsburgh but he was clearly rooting for the Reds, knew nothing. Every player he'd look, because he picked up that I knew, and he'd be like, oh, who's this guy? Like, that's Joey Votto. He's been in the league for 16 years. He's won an MVP. Like, he was that type of guy. So I'm thinking, are you kidding me? And all that, like, our whole row, no lie, was all empty. And this is even funnier. Then in the first inning, or maybe it's top of the second, another guy. So we moved, so I didn't have to be right next to him. We moved one seat away. Again, it was all empty. Then another guy comes wearing a Brooklyn Dodgers hat and a Brooklyn Dodgers shirt. He says to Cutter, hey, man, you got to move down. You're in my seat. And I'm not exaggerating. I counted. There's 8 empty seats next to him. And he moves us back to where we are supposed to sit. So picture guy in the far
entire empty row and 4 people in seats 1 through 4.
Yes. And on seats 1 and seats 4 were 2 people going solo. And I had so many questions. I'm like, what is happening here?
Well, my question is, why didn't you guys move down to seats 9 and 10?
Well, eventually the guy moved on Cutter's left, like probably by third inning, and we did too. But I also liked where we were sitting, as far as where the Reds were sitting, or the players.
The Brooklyn Dodgers, you were in a little cuck sandwich.
And he did a move I've never seen before. He ordered an entire cup. He comes back, entire large cup of fries. And then he had a whole side in the drink holder stacked up of fries.
He's like, do you guys fries. Have I was looking online. Do you have the Majid special? Like the Majid? Do you have the Majid combo? He's like, sure, this is what we usually keep the baseballs in. It's a bucket of fries. Now there's a full batting helmet of ranch sauce.
But he had them all plain. So he had a full bucket in a 4-cup drink holder, and then a whole side, which would be the middle part. And he's just chowing. And every time there was a foul tip where the catcher would catch it, he'd go.
He was just trying to get the garlic off his hands.
So I'm like, I don't know. I think you and I have talked about this. I think it's kind of a suspect move. The going to the ball game by yourself.
I go to ballparks by myself regularly.
Really?
Yeah. I was in Oakland by myself. I've been to San Diego by myself twice. Where else have I gone by myself? I've gone to San Francisco by myself. First time I went to San Francisco, I was by myself. Now, I'm not doing the fucking sit in the one seat. Like, a lot of times when I go by myself, I'll do the exact opposite. Well, I mean, sometimes I'll find like if there's a ticket that's close and it's cheap because it's by itself, I'll be like, oh, I'll take that. Or I'll do the buy whatever ticket, doesn't matter, because I'm by myself. So it doesn't matter if I walk around, move sections, blah, blah, blah. Especially I've gone by myself to at least 3 or 4 ballparks that I was at for the first time. And I was like, this is great because I'll just get a seat wherever. And then I can go just explore. I'll see what the view's like from left field. I'll see what the view's like from third base. I'll see what it's like behind the plate. And when you're one person, no one gives a shit.
Sure. But again, like you said, you're not going to sit right next to clearly a couple of friends.
Right. I mean, not in Pittsburgh in September when the behind the plate tickets are $50. But like when I went to San Diego early this year, I was literally like the last guy in a row, and my end of the row like was blocked. So it was like there was only one way in, and I was the last guy in, and I sat there packed in because it was a crowd. Like the game was crowded. If my row was empty, I would have fucking moved.
So they announced, we were estimating during the game, the attendance. They announced it. They announced it again. This is announced paid. They announced it at 8,800. I'm thinking actually there 6,000 to 7,000. And I can't remember being in such an empty ballpark. And it was eerie. I mean, you hear everything, and especially when you're that close and there's no noise from the crowd. we're picking up on everything, being right next to the players. Those nets, though, you hate to keep bringing it up, but man, I kept saying this is such a great location. If we didn't have
those seats, same thing. Those seats we sat in
second row, same thing.
San Francisco. I would say they got 70% worse by the addition of a net.
Yeah.
Like it's so much better. I am now to the point where I want to sit loge behind home plate. I get to look over the net, and it's still a great seat. It's like my go-to was always down the baselines because you can get decent tickets close. Most ballparks, you're like, oh, I can sit fifth row, like, at the end of the infield cut down the first baseline for $85 or whatever, But now when the net's there, especially when you're down the baseline, you look toward home plate, it's like you're looking at the same angle as the net. It totally fucks you. Like, I just cannot believe it that there are human beings on earth who are like, I'm totally in favor of this.
Yeah. And I was watching. So we were in our section. It was basically Reds fans were just buying the section. So it was mostly Reds fans. It was mostly Reds fans on, purposely like us who wanted to be behind the Reds dugout. And then there was a section to our right past the dugout. A lot of people trying to get stuff signed. It's funny watching the fans. They have to go around where the two nets meet. There's like a crevice. And we were watching Nick Castellanos try to, like, fans would have to, like, move through the net, his jersey or balls for him to sign. And I just thought, it's difficult for him to sign autographs. This whole system is very inconvenient.
I mean, like, I don't even, yeah. I mean, we've talked about it so many times.
Sure.
It's the equivalent of going to the beach and having them put up a wall between the sand and the water and being like, listen, an unsupervised baby at any time could just go in the water and drown. Yeah. An old person could just go in the water and drown. Like, they could just go in. And it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't like put a wall up. Maybe we should just keep it this way and make people watch their babies.
Sure. Well, overall, beautiful park. I probably would put it up with San Diego, maybe slightly ahead. There's not a bad seat. We walked around the whole stadium. There's not a bad seat. It's smaller. I think it's only 37,000, which
food wise, you get some food.
I didn't get food there because we had, I crushed Permani Brothers beforehand because I'd never had that, obviously, never being in Pittsburgh. So, but food looked all right. Permani Brothers is at the stadium as well. It's one of the main spots that they have for food. But yeah, I mean, it's right up there. And that view of the city again and of the river, it's a beautiful park. And I couldn't recommend it enough. Like, it's definitely top 10.
What's the scene around the ballpark? Did it seem fun? Bars?
It's pretty dead. But again,
obviously no one's there.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, did it look like there was, if this was happening?
There was a few spots. There's a McFadden's, I thought of City Field. There's a McFadden's right outside the ballpark. There's a few.
McFadden's at City Field is now closed and become a COVID testing site.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And I don't think it'll reopen, which is sad.
Yeah, it looked all right.
Rip Beverly.
I don't know how to rate. I was telling Cutter, I think what I want to do now, Prano, is I can't put the old stadiums, like I can't put a Wrigley or a Fenway, which I've never been to, by the way. I don't want to put those in the same ranking of the other ones because I don't know if it's fair.
I think that it is, in my opinion, it is fair because what you're doing is you're like, it's all a balance, right? Like I just said, what's the food? What's the atmosphere? How's parking? What's the vibe in the ballpark? What's the view from the seats? How are the, like I always call like those like whatever they're called. Every ballpark calls them a different thing, like promenade, the walkways, the whatever, where you can like it, when you're getting your food, can you still see the game? Are there standing room areas? Like, how does it feel, like nostalgia wise, blah, blah. Like, I just take it all into consideration. And I think Fenway and Wrigley are awesome in that regard of having like the historical value takes them up a level. And that alone, they jump certain ballparks for me quality wise of an overall experience. But like, that's why, one thing I love Dodger Stadium, but it's like older. It doesn't have, the sight lines from when you're getting a hot dog. It doesn't feel like, a brand new ballpark that's got all the bells and whistle, but parking is shit. But the ballpark view itself is great. The vibe is great.
Yeah, I'd probably rank Pittsburgh right behind San Francisco. So that was my 15th stadium. So I'm halfway through. I'd rank it slightly ahead of Petco. I'm going to put it ahead of Dodger Stadium. I'll put it ahead of Minute Maid for sure. I'd put it right up there. Tough game. Reds were losing 6-0. Came back, lost 6-5. Reds have now lost 7 straight series. They haven't done that since 4 years ago.
Yeah,
7 straight.
Epic collapse.
Epic. And I know this might sound cliche. I put that on the manager. When a team has epic collapses, I don't care the sport. I think that comes from the top down. And if you can't get your guys to play when it matters most against the team that you came into the series 8-1 against all year long, and you can't win against a team that has 90 losses and you're going to lose another series, I put that on the manager. And it's tough. It's disappointing. I'll be honest. It's very disappointing. As a Reds fan, there's no other words to put it. It's frustrating and it's disappointing.
And you guys trail San Diego still, and now St. Louis has that second wild card spot.
Because San Diego keeps losing too. They won last night, but
they're everybody. I mean, this is every Mets game I watch now. Keith Hernandez and Darling, they'll just be like, well, every other team's doing what we need them to do. Braves are losing, Phillies are losing, Padres are losing, Reds are losing. They'll be like, Mets have it up, Mets blew it.
Yeah. It's
which is especially painful right now because I was talking to you about it before the show, but I just devoured the 86 Mets Once Upon a Time in Queens 30 for 30. For any of you 30 for 30 documentary baseball fans out there, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, to me, it's on Last Dance levels of documentary.
Oh, wow.
Good. And I think the reason that obviously I'm a Mets fan, but when you watch it, and I know you haven't watched yet, but I'll tell our fans who haven't dove in yet. It's like there's a lot going on the Bulls, and Rodman's obviously a personality. And Jordan has his like competitive thing. But when you go down the list, Pippen, Jordan, Purdue, Wennington, like there's not a whole lot of personality, even with Jordan, I would say, outside of like Dennis Rodman on that second 3P team. Once Upon a Time in Queens is essentially a baseball team where 70% of the dudes are Dennis Rodman. They're all fucking crazy, insane in their own way, either fighting people, doing drugs, drinking their faces off. It's like
they had some characters.
For Dykstra, Backman, Hernandez. I mean, Carter was like the nice guy on the team, and Keith Hernandez says straight out of the gate, it's like his voice was like nails on a chalkboard to me. He's just such a fucking dork, Jesus freak dork. He's like, I didn't like the guy, but all he wanted to do was win, and that's fine with me. And you're like, geez. You can just like the captain of the team, the guy who. Well, it's
80s. The cocaine use is so high within baseball, especially
mid-season. Keith Hernandez has to like go to Pittsburgh to like, do a like be on a grand jury investigation about cocaine use in baseball. Like it's wild.
How long is it?
It's 4 episodes of an hour. And Kimmel and Cousin Sal produce it. Pretty good.
I'll have to check that out for sure. Well, football's here, and we'll obviously get to that in a bit, Dirtballs. But a quick reminder, if you're going to play fantasy football, go hop on FanDuel.com/dirty because new FanDuel fantasy players, start playing fantasy this football season, and FanDuel will give you a 20% bonus on your first deposit up to $500. So, Lenny Dykstra, if you're listening, because I know you like to gamble, right? That's one of his things, right?
I think I think Lenny Dykstra's thing is every vice ever.
Yeah. Well, Lenny, if you're listening, hop on FanDuel because you can get, again, your first deposit up to $500, 20% on your first deposit up to $500. You can start new lineups every day. They offer so many different contests. I love the single game slate personally. I've been playing that one. You can play in private contests with your friends. So experience season-long wins without the season-long waits. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/dirty to claim your bonus and start playing today. That's FanDuel.com/dirty. Age and location restrictions apply. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires after 30 days. Okay, before we jump into some other sports, we have to discuss a sad passing of a legendary comic who was very involved with sports himself, Norm Macdonald.
I mean, up there for me in terms of the all-timers. Somebody whose comedy, I tweeted it the other day. Somebody whose comedy is literally responsible for some of my best friends, because just bonding with people over, loving Norm on Weekend Update, which is like my era as a kid. He was on Weekend Update, when I actually watched SNL. He was on Weekend Update in the years where it was like running on Comedy Central in, all day, every day. Just his guesting on shit. I've said it before, all these clips that are going around. Jimmy Fallon has done more television this year than Norm Macdonald probably did in his life. And we will never see a single clip of Jimmy Fallon from this season of fucking The Tonight Show 5 years from now. But in the 70 hours of television Norm ever did, you're going to see 60 of it. It was all fucking incredible. It was all incredible. He is the most underrated comic of all time. I'm actually super glad to see how many people are sharing it. Norm always felt like a guy you bonded over, people you bonded over liking him because so many people were like, no, I don't get it. And I think he definitely has made a leap in the internet era where people are able to share things. But he's just, David Letterman called him the best ever. And that's David Letterman.
Well, yeah, there were definitely people who didn't get it. Obviously, we always liked him. You really liked him, and I always really liked him too. I do think of my friendships, and I think of my college buddies. We were on a text exchange, and we were laughing about stuff with him. And I remember being in college when they did the roast of Bob Saget, correct?
Yeah.
And I'm watching it with my buddies. And when Norm purposely was doing hack corny jokes that were clean. And I remember watching it live and thinking, or when they aired it, laughing because you see the crowd doesn't get it. And that was part of Norm's charm of, I don't give a flying fuck, for lack of a better term, was his mindset, right? He's going to go out there and do these jokes because it's funny to him. And I really think that takes courage, to be honest.
I think the thing that I took, there are definitely people over the years who impersonate Norm's style, impersonate Norm's cadence, impersonate that. Norm's comedy and my comedy are not that similar. Certainly not our delivery, certainly not or whatever. But the one thing that I took from Norm immediately upon seeing him do stand up, seeing him host the ESPYs, seeing him host award shows is there. Like comedy is more fun and more truly funny if you do a half hour or you do an hour and you make people laugh and then you bring them down and then you make people laugh. It's like the modern thing of just like pound you the whole time. It's not as funny to me.
Yeah.
I like getting a break and listening to what you're saying and then being brought up. Like there's a million comics these days who, you can give an example of that are just like, it's machine gun fire. And Norm played jazz. And it to me, it's so preferable and something I try so hard to be like, listen, I like that joke for me. And you know what? If it doesn't kill, I'm going to do it because it also like make them groan, make them chuckle, make them laugh, make them fucking applaud, like do all the things. Just getting like laughs the whole time. It's just like, it's not as interesting to me.
Well, I just alluded to it. I think what was great about Norm is he did stuff that he enjoyed. And I think you can also say that about the Common Era as well. I think a lot of times, and we've all been guilty of it, right? Where you do jokes that the crowd's going to laugh at, but at times you're probably maybe over or you're sick of doing that routine. He consistently did stuff that he enjoyed, whether it was on SNL or his stand-up or guesting.
He always took things too far.
Oh my God. Those appearances, especially on Conan. I mean, we all know the all-time one that everybody showed. The one with Courtney Thorne-Smith.
So good.
Is just so funny. And I've watched so many times. And obviously Norm's biggest influence on me personally is no surprise. It's the OJ jokes.
Yeah.
And because I think they're so funny and I've continued to do my own. I did for a while.
He's so layered, which is the jokes is the first level and most of them are really funny. But the second level and the funniest part is, I mean, on a corporate level, they're begging him to stop.
Yeah.
And it just makes him double down.
Sure.
He's just going, every week I'm going to do more. Every week I'm going to do more. And it gets to the point where you go, where the audience is going, like, man, this guy fucking won't stop on the OJ jokes. To then he takes the audience to a place like, oh, he is purposely he is made a commitment to doing it. And then we all obviously all get the backstory after the fact that, the head of NBC at the time demands he stop doing it. He refuses. He gets fired over that.
Think about that.
I'll say something right now, and I've made my opinion on this person clear over the years, and I don't care about, somebody hearing something and it, but like to this day, and it's, do I love his comedy? No, but it's more so the fact that he slid in after Norm. I can't look at Colin Quinn to this day. I can't look at him. I can't listen to him. I hate him. And I do. I hate him. And it's because it's a combination of, I'm not the biggest fan of his comedy.
Okay.
But also him coming in after Norm. I was like, I felt like it was such a disgraceful replacement. It's the equivalent of being like, Jordan retired from the Bulls. Andy Ruther will replace him at shooting guard. You're like, what? Well, how about getting another NBA player? Like,
we don't agree there. I've never had a problem with Colin Quinn. I thought he was funny. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't have a problem with him. I mean, you're tossing some serious vitriol.
Yeah, I can't look at him for that reason. I'm like, Norm was there and then you got this guy stumbling, mumbling, bumbling through his jokes. I was like, I at the time I was like, I'll never watch fucking Weekend Update again.
Well,
that's how much Norm meant to me.
I would like to play some of his OJ jokes. There's so many, and you can't play all of them. There's some great YouTube compilations. Literally, there's 2 parts called Norm Macdonald constantly shitting on OJ Simpson. And they're just so funny. So I'd like to play some of them because obviously we are a sports show, and let's connect it to OJ. And OJ now is turned into such a caricature of himself on Twitter. We got to play these. And like you said, for people who are not familiar, the executive, what was his name? Ohlmeyer? Was that his last name?
Don Ohlmeyer. Yeah.
Don Ohlmeyer was good friends with OJ, who at the time worked the sideline for NBC NFL.
Obviously not at the time, but yeah,
sure.
Before that.
But my point is, we don't have official verification of this, but he was basically fired from SNL because they said, yo, man, back off on the OJ Simpson jokes. And Norm doubled and tripled down, which is so respectful. He didn't give a shit. And let's play some of these Norm OJ Simpson weekend update, Joes.
Thanks. I'm Norm Macdonald, and now the fake news. Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California.
I mean, just that.
Yeah.
Like, that's funny.
Two hours after the verdict, LA police had their first solid lead in the hunt for the real killers. A new witness has come forward who saw 3 men fleeing the crime scene the night of the murders. Police have released this sketch and would like to hear from anyone who has seen it.
Okay, that's more of a visual.
These 3 individuals. On Tuesday at 1:15, the moment the Simpson verdict was delivered, Court TV scored its highest ratings ever. An hour later, the channel went out of business.
Okay, like, that is a quintessential Norm Macdonald joke. Like, I see you smiling, and I'm the same way. It's so straightforward. It's so simple, but it's so funny.
Norm had a thing. There's one example of it. I forget what the joke is now, but Norm's thing was the perfect joke is going to be the joke where the setup and the punchline are exactly the same. And it's like, what? And then he did a version of it. I think the version of it he did was the Lyle Lovett, Julia Roberts joke.
Yes.
It said,
yes.
Lyle Lovett and Julia Roberts have gotten divorced. They cited the reason being that she was Julia Roberts and he was Lyle Lovett. It's like the closest. It's like the closest he ever got. But he said, like, that was the perfect joke was the joke where it's like so straightforward that the punchline and the setup and the punchline are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Well, that covers the main developments in the O.J. Simpson case this week. And after all, other important things are going on in the world. Now more O.J. Simpson. When Simpson trial juror Gina Rodborough returned home this week, her little girls were delighted to have her back. And no wonder. She lets him get away with murder.
It's just so ridiculous. It's so funny. I mean, listen to the crowd. It's like you said. You hear the applause. You hear some groans. Like, that's all part of his shtick.
100%.
Get that great mixed reaction.
Our top story tonight. Following his shocking acquittal 2 weeks ago, O.J. Simpson vowed never to rest until the real killers of Nicole Brown Simpson are brought to justice. And the manhunt continues.
So that one, again, another visual. It's a picture of him golfing.
Golfing, yeah.
Yeah.
After initially vowing never to rest until his wife's killers are brought to justice, O.J. Simpson this week changed his pledge slightly. He now vows to have sex with hot-looking models.
Amazing.
Meanwhile, this week, O.J. took girlfriend Paula Barbieri to see the erotic murder mystery Jade. Other moviegoers took the couple's presence in stride, though they did become uncomfortable when O.J. repeatedly shouted out, You call that a stabbing? Simpson had been discussing marriage with girlfriend Paula Barbieri, but reportedly she has called the wedding off. Her fear was that if they married, she would be brutally murdered. and then someone would try to pin it on OJ. The LA District Attorney's Office has given Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden bonuses of over $10,000 for, quote, lengthy hard time duty, unquote, in the OJ Simpson case. A spokesman for the DA said that the prosecutor's bonuses would have been even higher, except for the fact that they let a killer go free.
I mean, I could do this all day.
Yeah, it's the best.
I mean, you guys get the point. It's
and just like, you know, there's so many good. There's a YouTube channel, I believe it's called I'm Not Norm, or I Am Not Norm. That was already like before all this. I'm sure others will pop up, but that was already the like Norm compilation channel. There's a Norm, I think it's Norm_talk on TikTok. That's just like a Norm, compilation TikTok thing. Just go on deep dive. I've been subscribed to I Am Not Norm for however many years. So good. His podcast was so good. I thought his Netflix show was amazing. I'm just like, everything that guy did was the best. And it took me forever to find it, but finally, and I put it on my Twitter and my Facebook, I finally found the cock version joke that I have referenced so many times over the years, and is basically the basis of my Norm Macdonald impression. But I finally found it. It's so you can go on my Twitter. It's Norm on the Y2K episode of Dennis Miller, where he basically did like 6 versions of his show, but really quickly, and he kept doing them throughout time. And his guest was always Norm, and every time Norm talked, he somehow got to talking about cock.
amazing.
Every time it's 6 things, and it's so good.
Well, we have to play, and I tweeted this out, the opening jokes of the ESPYs,
Which I think we've even played on the show before.
Yeah. So this is what? Is this 97 or 98? I believe it's 98.
Yeah.
97.
It's right after the second Broncos Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, it's either 97 or 98. And I think you're right. I believe we've played this. But what makes it so great is you look at the ESPYs then versus now. Back then it was fun, it was edgy, anything went. These jokes are amazing. Now it's I couldn't tell you last time I watched the ESPYs.
Yeah.
So these are the opening 30 seconds of his monologue at again, it's either the 97 or 98 ESPYs.
And there's Charles Woodson. How about that? What a season he had. Great, man. He became the first defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. And congratulations, Charles. That is something that no one can ever take away from you. Unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case, all bets are off. Just a word of advice.
And Ken Griffey Jr.'s reaction is so great in that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's leading the ESPY monologue with an OJ murder joke. Classic Norm. And there's more to that. I'm not going to play any more, but
yeah, one of my other favorite parts is when he goes after Elway. Like, there he is. John Elway's here. 2-time Super Bowl MVP or whatever. 2-time Super Bowl champion. Now fix your teeth.
Let me
good.
Let me see. Let me see where if that's available. I wonder if this is the same one. I just put in John Elway, Norm Macdonald into YouTube. I bet this is the
and there's Charles Woodson.
Yeah, that's the same one. Yeah.
There's a full version of his thing out there. And I'm paraphrasing his joke, but it's some horse tooth.
Yeah. By the way, that's 1998. That was the 98 ESPYs. Yeah, it was after Charles Woodson won the Heisman in 97. the year before. But yeah, RIP to Norm. And, I guess he had cancer for 9 years and didn't tell anybody.
So he had cancer when I saw him and worked with him and Aspen Comedy Fest, which is honestly still, I didn't get to hang out with him much. I wasn't on the bill with him on anything, but like still to this day, like the day I found out that I was doing that festival and that Norm was one of the headliners, I was like, oh, I've like done something in my life. And it's funny, I have a picture of it and I was going to tweet it, but then when I went into like Google Photos, like the picture like corrupted or something like that. It's so wild. But Norm signed the guest book at the Aspen Opera House, wherever the thing is, the Aspen, I forget the name of it. It's the Aspen Opera House, whatever. He signed the guest book. Will pay good money for guest book jokes, like, or need good guest book jokes. Will pay money. Norm Macdonald. And then he took up most of the page. There was like a sliver at the bottom. And I wrote at the bottom of the guest book page, I just wanted to sign the same page as Norm Macdonald, Joe Prano. And then the other thing about that was so great. First of all, his set was amazing. He did this opening joke about having had a pork fucking rib or something earlier in the day and saying he had pork stuck in his teeth. But he had like bits about it. He had like either he was so good that he like got pork stuck in his teeth earlier that day and wrote like 5 minutes of like well-crafted pork jokes, or this is a bit that he'd been doing for a while. Either way, the whole show, he would do jokes about all kinds of other things. And in between, he'd suck on his tooth. So I'm like, either way, this is bananas.
Great
Either
bit.
he actually has pork stuck in his teeth and he wrote 5 minutes of fucking pork jokes today that crushed, or he's been doing this bit for a while and he purposely between jokes pretends to suck pork out of his teeth. And then they gave us a sweatshirt for that. And I put this on Twitter and Norm replied to it actually and was like, thank you very much. Can't wait to meet you someday, or can't wait to see your set or something like that. But truly, this is another thing. Like, it made an enemy for life for me. They gave us a sweatshirt and the top billing, the first name at the top was Trevor Noah, then Norm Macdonald, and then all the rest of our names. And I fucking took a black Sharpie and I made Trevor Noah unreadable. I was like, I like, first of all, this is offensive to me as a comedian, but also I will not wear a sweatshirt where Trevor Noah, of all people, has billing over Norm Macdonald. I'm like, I'm offended.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it really is. It's disrespectful to put him above Norm Macdonald. And I don't know if you ever listen to these. I used to always really enjoy him on Howard Stern.
Yeah. I mean, as far as guesting goes, like, he's the best guest on anything ever.
Yeah.
The Clinton murder on The View.
Oh my God.
I thought it was a matter of public record. They're like, we can't make those accusations. Norm is like, I thought we all knew that Bill Clinton was. And they're like, please stop saying that he murdered somebody. He's like, all right, how about maybe manslaughter?
And I want to say something real quick. I said this because Cutter and I were discussing it when the news broke, because, we missed it and we were driving to Pittsburgh and then we saw it in the hotel room before the game. Because I think this needs to be said. And I'm assuming someone has said this, but I love seeing all the positive, because it's important discussion of Norm. But I want to say something. I don't know if Norm exists today.
No.
With cancel culture and the woke stuff. I just want to say that because he didn't care. So a lot of these people who are also positively discussing him, I think they need to be aware, would Norm exist? I mean, it seems like you agree. It seems like you agree with me.
I don't know if I agree they wouldn't exist. I think Norm was such a brilliant comic mind that
he was transcendent.
Even today, I mean, you can go back to last year on him doing his show on Netflix and whatever. I think that he was so brilliant that he's always going to push to the edge of whatever is acceptable and go just like a little bit over. So yeah, of course he can't do that ESPYs thing today, but he could do it then. He couldn't do saying cock for every punchline on Dennis Miller today, but he could do it then. But he is still doing things today that pushed it. So I think he could exist. But I think what's, where the whole thing always gets convoluted is like cancel culture, whatever, blah, 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 is like, yo, if you agree that shit is funny, then why is it like, oh, it's funny for the time? No, it's funny because it's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the thing. It's like, oh, you couldn't say that now.
And
like,
that's all. That's all.
Could.
That's what I'm saying. That's basically what I'm trying to say is that you're right. If it was funny then, it's funny now. If we can appreciate Norm's jokes from 20 years ago, we got to be able to appreciate that same sort of material and content in 2021, and we should. So rest in peace to a legend, and he'll live on forever. And thank God for YouTube and social media and the ability to watch his clips. And I advise everybody, if you have a few moments, go down that rabbit hole and start watching some things. Okay. Week 2 NFL is here. Starts tonight. Before we do that, I want to mow down a couple NFL side stories.
Okay.
One, I forgot to ask this last week. Are we yay or nay on the new uniform numbers?
I like them.
Okay.
I mean, to me, it's like for so long, it was very, very, very specific. And then, receivers are in the 80s, linebackers are in the 50s, linemen are in the 60s. Like, it was so specific that I liked that aspect of it. But as soon as we started going with like, oh, running back, receivers can be in the teens. Okay, well, now we're getting like a little bit looser than that. And it got to the point where, I don't know if you remember the story from like last year or the year before, they did a thing where like, there's no great receivers that wear 80s anymore. Like the best receivers in the league, like almost none of them wear 80s. They're all the teens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a slippery slope. Then we got into like, like who's the running back that was on? It was at Montgomery or whatever. So we're an 88 in the backfield. We've got, Cordarrelle Patterson, who's wearing 84, but never appears on the field as a receiver. It was like, I think back in the day, like Mel Gray wore 12 and you're like, what the fuck is this? So it's like, once we got to the point where it's like, oh, we're making exceptions for what? Like, then like, cool, let's do it. And I also have always liked the wearing number 1 being like, oh, that's a fucking stud number. Wearing number 6, being a linebacker with a single digit, man, you're a badass. Like, I kind of like that. So like, I'm for it. It's like, once we opened up Pandora's box of being like, oh, Keyshawn Johnson demands to wear 19 and we're just going to let him, then let everybody wear whatever they want.
Yeah. Well, it's more of the defense that's throwing me off. You see some of the single digit guys up front wearing it. That's kind of throwing me off. Some of the
but like Fournette, is back to 7. But he was in college. Like,
yeah, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's a nice mix.
And then I loved the Peyton Manning shitting on Tom Brady repeatedly during the broadcast about Tom crying about the guys with the numbers. And honestly, both Eli obviously less so, because Eli basically less so everything on that broadcast. And I think he came off as like the way cooler brother, but both of them being like, it's not that hard, Tom, just yell 6 is the mic. Like, what? Like, why are you making this a big fucking deal?
Yeah. It's a pretty good broadcast.
I thought it was amazing. It started out a little frantic. They were trying to do too much in the opening segment. But I was also like, okay, let's see where it settles. You know what I mean? Maybe they have this bit they want to do, or this thing they want to do. And I don't know if somebody was like then in their headsets being like, hey, maybe we just watch the game or whatever. But also, even the frantic things that they did, I think that the timing, they just didn't have the timing right. They were like, how we really want to talk about this. And I really wanted to hear them talk about it. but it was hard for them to do that and call the game.
Yeah, and things take a minute. This is the first time they've done it. I know some people say they want to hear the crowd noise, which is fine. You can watch the regular broadcast if you want to hear that.
I couldn't give a shit about the crowd noise.
Yeah, personally, I'd rather hear those guys discuss it, whether that's a joke. I thought Peyton started hot with that. I mean, that joke, you can tell a lot about the Raiders season by the first pass and incomplete.
Yeah. I love that. But my favorite part of that whole thing is, again, the brotherness of the whole thing. Peyton goes, I think you can tell a lot about the first season. And then they do it, and he totally like forget. And Eli's like, so you set us all up with like, so what does that tell you? He had like 4 seconds. He goes, so what does that tell you? And he's like, 6-11. First of all, that game was amazing.
Yeah, it's wild.
And then to have them calling the end of the game and their reaction, your boy Russ was there for fourth quarter and overtime. Like, I just thought it was great. And that's the thing, that the Mannings being able to get Ray Lewis, Charles Barkley, Travis Kelce, Russell Wilson, like no one's showing up. Russell Wilson's not showing up to talk with Nance and Romo. You know what I mean? This is the Mannings.
So it begs the question, does something like this, or will something like this revolutionize and change the way we view sports broadcasting and commentary for live games?
I mean, I would say that we did it in the prehistoric Rabble days. And
R.I.P.
So, shout out to us for making this Manning broadcast
pioneers, a
possibility. But that's essentially
6 years
what
ago.
it is.
6 years ago, we started doing that.
It's essentially what it is, right? It's a lot. It's a rabble.
Yeah,
they're rabbling it. And think about through the years, people being like, oh, fuck, I've got to like mute the game, or like I've got to be behind because Joe and Andy are behind. But it's like, I would rather watch the game on a 5-minute delay or without sound. I feel like I learned so much from listening to them, like infinitely more than I would learn watching a season of football with regular broadcasters.
Yeah, and that's the takeaway I would have as well. The knowledge you're gaining from watching these guys commentate, whether it is a joke or whether it's serious, they're giving you legit insight. And, Peyton had that real funny backstory trying to get the ref's address because he wanted to apologize. Those sort of nuggets, that's basically a podcast that you're getting for free, a podcast story on a live broadcast.
I mean, Peyton Manning and Eli Manning talking, and they focused pretty exclusively on offense.
Sure.
Then having Ray Rice there and breaking down
Ray Lewis
there breaking down.
But Ray Rice would have been funny too.
Yeah, he would have been.
He would have knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. See what I did there?
Ray Lewis breaking down, the like how the Ravens would switch who was blitzing on the fly and all that, like, and then Peyton Manning knowing that and knowing how to attack it, and him knowing like whatnot. It was like them explaining the chess match of the offense and the defense. It was like infinitely more exciting than any broadcast in the last ever.
Well, that's the thing. It's people can say, oh, well, Romo does that, but he doesn't do it with the personality. Like, it doesn't compare.
Yeah.
With the show. And obviously he can't. It's to Romo's defense, it's a traditional broadcast, but also he doesn't have the comedic chops or the sarcasm. Peyton Manning's, like, for the record, well, first of all, Peyton and Eli are great together. They play off each other. They play off each other so well.
I mean, Peyton's like going. Eli, I mean, and it's perfect. Eli, and it's like, it's a great example of like, I can't believe, I mean, I understand that Cowboys fans and Eagles fans and Redskins fans and Patriots fans hate Eli Manning, and maybe Jets fans. You know what I mean? I understand them being like, whatever, but like for so many years, like you would see this like sort of like, I mean, definitely I would say maybe not hate, but like dislike, mocking of Eli by like football fans ever. He's the most likable dude of all time. Like, he's sitting back, he's picking his moments. Peyton's going. Eli's coming in with zingers. He's bringing like funny. Like at one point, my favorite part of the whole broadcast is Peyton Manning. Derek Carr drops back, and the running back comes up to pick up the blitz. And Peyton Manning's like, "Good job picking up the blitz." Eli goes, "Not really." Like just totally shits on the guy, but he's just like being honest. He's like, "Not really."
Yeah.
And he's sitting there picking his spots, cool, chill. Like when Ray Lewis is on, Eli's just kind of like in the background, self-deprecating on his 0 passer rating. Like he's like, I don't know how anybody doesn't like Eli Manning.
Well, I don't know how anybody doesn't like either of those guys, to be honest.
I mean, Peyton is like I like Peyton Manning too, but it's like, to me, Peyton Manning, clearly the one who's trying to like show all his knowledge, be really funny, whatever. He's like kind of like aggressively forcing all of it on you. And Eli's just kind of sitting back and being like, yeah, and this, and this. And how about this zinger? And you're like, these guys, they're the best.
Well, Eli probably, I think just from watching that, he'd be a real fun guy. You might say in your head, hey, I'd rather go out and party with Peyton. But I could argue the other way just as strongly.
Yeah.
That Eli is the calm, funny, like you said, dropping some zingers out with your boys, smoking a little weed, having a little bourbon. Like he's a fun dude. He doesn't have to be the attention getter.
Yeah.
But he's still awesome.
Oh man, I really wish they were doing all 17 games.
I do too. And if you didn't watch it, watch the next one.
And honestly, I had a couple of interactions with people while it was going on, and I was like, "Are you watching this?" And they're like, "I put it on for a minute, but I had to." And I was like, "I really cannot believe anybody would rather watch the broadcast." It puts you in my suspect pile. You suspect.
I'm not going to argue that.
It almost makes me think you can't understand what they're talking about. So you're like, I can't comprehend. Like I just rather watch whoever I don't know who calls it. Brian Greasy. Who the fuck calls?
It's Greasy, Steve Levy, and Louis Riddick.
I mean, especially in the
wait,
fourth.
was Louis Riddick? Was that a boxer? Or is it Louis Riddick?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Riddick Bowe was a boxer.
Yeah. What am I doing here?
Lennox Lewis was a boxer.
He was
Riddick Lewis was a heavyweight matchup at one point.
He worked for the Giants, right? Louis Riddick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I don't know why you wouldn't be in Team Eli Peyton watching that game. I just like, if you want to laugh while also educating yourself and learning some things for purely entertainment value. I watch sports for entertainment. For entertainment value, that's why I'm saying this could revolutionize. I firmly believe that it could revolutionize it. And I was thinking about that while watching it. I bet those three, the main three for ESPN, have to hate it. No one's talking about that.
That's what Tug texted me, and I said, well, they're going to hate it tomorrow because they're going to find out. No, I mean, the number still, because it's still one of those things like, and
I didn't see the numbers.
800,000 people watched the Manning broadcast, but like, it's still one of those things. And we've made fun of them. We've made fun of our fans, millennial and Gen Z fans before, people not knowing their zip codes and people not knowing their fucking, home phone numbers and shit like that. But like I tweeted about the amount of people are like sliding in my DMs, like, where do I watch this broadcast? I'm like, fucking Google it. Like, what do you think I did? You think Eli Manning sent me a handwritten note? Like, tune into ESPN2. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
But my point is like 800,000 is really good when you consider the fact that some people just go like, the Monday Night Football's on 7.
Yeah, they go straight
and
to
people
ESPN.
who go like, I don't know how to find it.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, we've said this. I think all those numbers are suspect to begin with. So
yeah,
I'll definitely be tuning into them every time they're on. Well, let's get to week 2 because it's here. And as always, all football season long, each week's picks and the point spreads will be provided and presented by our friends at FanDuel. So if you want to place some wagers and look at the odds, go check out FanDuel Sportsbook. And if you want to, partake in some fantasy, obviously go to FanDuel.com/dirty sports. Once again, to remind everybody, you get 20% on your first deposit. Excuse me. That is FanDuel.com/dirty to get 20% on your first deposit up to $500. So that's a quick reminder, Dirtballs. Take advantage of this great offer now. Experience season-long wins without the season-long waits. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/dirty to claim your bonus and start playing today. That's FanDuel.com/dirty. Age and restrictions apply. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires after 30 days. So again, we are on the FanDuel Sportsbook going over week 2 NFL picks for this 2021 season.
So I'm gonna make these picks with you in good faith, and we'll save the discussion of the current scandal till the end of the show.
That's fine. I'm just for me, it's just assessing our analysis, and I'll say my spiel at the end of the show as well. Everyone's very caught up on it, and
my point is, in making a picks in good faith, there's for the most part, I would say through the years, for the most part, genuinely picking games, what I think is going to happen. Sure. And also, and I think I do a decent job of this when I give a picks, is like, I like to tell you guys as best I can, like, I will personally be wagering on this, as opposed to like, I would pick this, but I don't really like, but it's more of a stay away, but I'll go with this. Then there's the third level, which is like, I'm kind of back and forth maybe on this, or don't care either way, or like don't have a strong opinion. I'm going to pick against Andy. And that's obviously factoring into our annual contest. And that's why I said I will essentially make these picks the same way as I always do. And then we can discuss the scandal after the fact.
Yeah. And for the record, I mostly basically pick how I feel. To occasionally I just want to go against you. Yeah. But that's how I feel. And that's how we'll start off with the Giants at Washington.
Now, what does FanDuel have our spread out in this game?
FanDuel has the Giants 3.5-point underdogs right now.
Okay. I'm going to take my Giants, and I'm going to take them for 2 main reasons. One, the Washington football team is just about the only team that the Giants beat anymore. It's like the Washington football team is the only reason that the Giants fans have hope any given year, is because we get them twice a year, and we seem to do a pretty good job, no matter how bad we are or how potentially good they are, of beating them. So we seem to have their number as of late. And the other reason is, I think even if the Giants lose this game, they lose a close one. And I could see that happening. I could see them losing, this being coming down to the final kick. This line started 4.5 some places, and has come down. That's usually when it comes down early in the week quickly. That's usually the big bettors making big bets that move the lines. The public doesn't really move the lines. Just for gamblers out, my fellow sports gamblers out there, watch the lines early in the week. Your bet, my bet, general people's bets do not move football lines. Not even if 90% of us do it. It's the sharks that come in, see a gap between what they project and what the line comes out as, and they pound that gap. And a lot of times they play both sides of it, but those guys move the lines. So coming down, I think I agree that I'm not by any means saying the Giants win this game. I think they have a chance to, but I think it's close and it's coming down. So I'll take my Giants.
Well, there's a backup quarterback playing for the Redskins, or excuse me,
The Washington Football Club,
the artist
Wolves.
formerly known as the Washington Redskins. So you have
Washington Congressman Wolves, the Red Congressman Wolves, the
Yes.
Red Wolf Congressman.
That's it. So you have Heineke, whatever is
He
pronounced.
played really well in the playoff game.
And he played pretty well last week in
He
relief.
played decent last week. And the Washington defense is good, man.
I think the Washington defense is really good. It's that half point for me. I think the Giants still lose. It's that half point. I'll take the Giants to cover because it's at 3.5.
And
All
another
right.
general good betting rule is don't bet on an underdog within a few points unless you think they can outright win the game, which I do think they can outright win the game.
Yeah, I think they can too. I wouldn't bet on them winning the game. The Raiders, coming off that huge win, travel east to Pittsburgh. The Steelers are 5.5. Now, we all know the Raiders are the most hot and cold team ever. Like this reeks of a Las Vegas Raider complete meltdown, but maybe it's the optimism off such a big game. I think they give the Steelers a game, and that's too big for me. I'm going Raiders.
There's a lot about this game, including what you just said, the Raiders. I mean, if we wake up on Monday and the Raiders have lost 30-3, no one will be shocked.
No one.
And that makes me want to bet the Steelers. The west to east makes me want to bet the Steelers. The Steelers' performance last week makes me want to bet the Steelers. But the Ravens and the Steelers, it's a similar type of attack. Defensive game plan, which the Raiders fit, they hung in there against that. They looked suspect at times, but they also had a ton of big plays. I'm going to do it. It probably cost me 8 games last year, but I'm going to stick with what I believe, which is despite the week 1 showing by Pittsburgh against Buffalo, I think that this is going to be a down year for Pittsburgh. I'm going to also take the Raiders. Gonna stick with my gut.
All right. In Gruden, we trust. Okay, this next one's easy for me. Bengals travel to Chicago. This spread has dropped. You talk about the opening line versus now. FanDuel currently has the Bears as only a 1.5 favorite at home. First home game of the year at Soldier Field against the Bengals. I say the Bears win and cover.
I'm with you. The Bears played well enough against the Rams. I think the Rams are really, really good. I think the Bears against that Rams defense moved the ball well enough. They scored enough points. And also, talk about hot and cold. Talk about riding consistency, something out of nothing about the Bengals' entire franchise history gives me confidence of picking them, which I did last week, 2 games in a row. So I'm going to also take the Bears.
And Joe Burrow got sacked 5 times last week. I feel like that was lost in the mix. He got sacked and he got hit. He got lit up a bunch. And I still think this Bears defense is much better than that Vikings defense. So good luck, Joe Burrow. I like you. I think you're a great talent, but I don't know if you're going to be standing up by the end of the year with this Bengals offensive line. So therefore, I will trust the former Bengal, the Red Rifle.
Oh, man. The Andy Dalton revenge game.
Here it is. The Texans travel to Cleveland. This is a big spread right here. Browns are 12.5.
Wow. Wow. 12.
12.5 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
It's too much for me. I know this could be a game that just reeks of a Browns blowout. They win by 17 to 21 points, but I just can't do 12.5 to start the year until I see more. I just need to see more. Just one game is not enough for me. I got to take the Texans to cover this.
Well, this is where we get into the situation. It's like, I feel like I could go either way on this game. I feel like the fact that the Browns were up, I don't know if they were up 12, but they were up 10 or they were up whatever, 14. Well, I don't know the exact number, but the fact that you can be up 12-ish on the Chiefs at any point makes me think that you can be up 12 on the Texans pretty easily. And unlike the Chiefs, I don't give the Texans a ton of chance to come back. I could see a backdoor Baker here where it's late and we get a late touchdown throw or a light long touchdown run that gets it.
It's a good poor name, by the way.
Over the hump, yeah.
Backdoor Baker, huh?
Backdoor Burrow was the backdoor Burrower last year. He was for sure a poor name. I'm gonna go with the Browns, and this is like I was saying something we were talking about because you went with the Texans. I'll go with the Browns because I could go either way on this one. We'd gotten 3 in a row.
True. All right,
Yeah.
the Rams traveled to Indy, where they're 3.5-point favorites. Indy's coming off that tough loss. Yeah,
no fucking doubt. It's inside.
Yeah, I agree. To me, this is not a question. I agree. I think the Rams were very, very good this year, and that defense is going to be all over Carson Wentz. And when he gets pressure on him, like a lot of QBs, he makes some bad decisions.
And we talked about it last week, and I'll say it again. The stupid conversation about how guys look when the pocket's clean is essentially how guys shoot in the NBA when no one's covering them. Everybody can shoot in an open gym. How guys handle themselves under pressure. I mean, this is the flaw with Carson Wentz. This is the flaw with Kirk Cousins. This is the flaw with certain other guys. It's like they're especially bad when pressured. They're borderline not starting quarterbacks in the NFL when they're pressured. The Philadelphia Eagles would argue Carson Wentz isn't. The Washington Redskins would argue Kirk Cousins isn't. They're like Carson Wentz is bad under pressure. And yeah, the Rams will get to him.
Yeah. All right. The Bills travel to Miami. They're 3.5-point favorites. A lot of people are worried about the Bills after that week 1 loss at home. I think they bounce back. I think the Bills win and cover.
This is tough. That's a half point again. I'm going to go with the Bills based on 2 very specific things because I think this could go either way, especially with that half point. I think the Bills do have a bounce back game, but Miami also an opportunity to show me something. But I had two angry Dolphins fans DMs. Are we like historically on this show? They've got to be top 5 in our delusional fan base teams, right?
Well, there's been vocal Dolphins fans.
That's what I'm saying. Vocal Dolphins fans that are like, I mean,
so what are they angry about?
That we breeze through their game, and that I said neither the Dolphins nor the Patriots looked especially good. Both people with the same sentiment. They went into Foxborough and won. I was like, it's week 1. It's week fucking 1.
Against a guy who's never started a game in his NFL
Against
career.
a guy making his first NFL start.
Yeah.
It's week 1.
What are we talking about?
You almost lost.
Yeah.
You didn't win 40-2.
Because of a fumble, realistically.
Yeah. How dare you? Tua's going to prove you wrong. What did I say? I said, let's not anybody overreact to week 1. That's what I said. And I said nothing that happened in the Dolphins or Patriots game gave me any sign that, I got nothing from that game, especially. You didn't get from that game that we're here for fucking real? I was like, I don't. So for you two guys, I wish I had your names. I should have written them down. For you two guys, I will take the Bills to cover.
All right, sticking in.
I'm assuming their names are Mr. and Mrs. Tagliavola.
I think that's it. Yeah. Sticking within the same division, the Pats travel to New York. They're 5.5-point favorites of the Jets. Rookie QB facing Bill Belichick for the first time.
I'm going to take the Pats. 5.5's a lot, I feel like, for that game. Division game.
I'm going to take the Jets.
Okay.
For that
Tough.
reason.
But I think I think Belichick, when there's blood in the water, you know what I mean?
True.
He loves the Jets being down, and he loves to just be like, fuck the Jets.
Yeah. This next one, I know we're going to be on the same page. San Francisco travels to Philly. They're 3.5-point favorites. I'm taking San Francisco.
I'm taking San Francisco. I thought, what do you mean? I know we're going to be on the same page. I thought you just had the Philadelphia Eagles as your NFC East champions last episode.
I didn't say that. I think the Eagles win more games than the Giants.
That's what you downshifted to. But first you're like, I think the Eagles, man. I think the Eagles are going to be better than people think.
Yeah, that's not saying they're going to win the division. I think the Eagles could be better than people think, possibly.
Yeah, I'm also. So now that we've got that covered, we'll both take the Niners.
Yeah, I think it's a letdown after a big win. Saints travel to Carolina, where they are 3.5-point favorites. Am I going to start riding Jameis Winston? I am. I got to do it. He looked good. He turned the ball over. I think Sean Payton has a game plan. He knows he's got a great defense. Just game manage these guys. I'm going to take the Saints to win and cover at 3.5 on FanDuel.
I'm going to take the Saints to win and cover as well. I'm not riding Jameis Winston. I actually think this is where we're going to see like 3.5. I think Vegas almost agrees. This is where we're going to see the Jameis factor. It's like, I mean, the Packers in week 1, obviously a crazy disappointing showing for the Packers, right? But theoretically in this game, the Saints are clearly the better team. So you would think almost that strategy that, was used against the Packers, which no one expected to see, but like Jameis should be able to literally game manage his way through a division game against the Panthers. The fact that it's only 3.5 makes me go, I don't know if Vegas is riding Jameis, but I'm going to, like you, ride the Saints defense and hope Jameis doesn't blow it for us.
Okay, Denver travels to Jacksonville. Broncos are 5.5-point favorites. This is an interesting spread for me.
I'm going to take the Broncos, and I'm going to take the Broncos based on how well Teddy Bridgewater looked last week against a Giants team that, he just kept making big plays. Like a lot of people were kind of down on the Giants defense after that game. I'm not down on the Giants defense that much. I think when you get people into thirds and fourth downs, yeah, you have to get off the field, but it's a way better sign for your defense. You start getting random stops here and there than what, they used to call the old Canadian football drives, where it's all first down, second down, first down, second down, first down, second down. He kept making big plays on those. And in tough moments, in tough situations with guys covered and whatever. And I just think the Jaguars aren't that good. So I think it's, a touchdown win for the Broncos if they just play clean football.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Broncos win. I'm putting more of my trust in the Broncos defense against a rookie quarterback who's going to make mistakes, toss a few picks.
Yeah.
turn
But
the
I
ball
also
over.
think it'll just be like a pretty low scoring game.
Yeah. So I'm going the Broncos as well. Okay. Our last 1:00 Eastern time game, the Vikings travel to Arizona, where the Cardinals are only 3.5-point favorites.
Well, we got Kirk Cousins, the 1:00 hour. He's fucking, he's Dan Marino at 1:00, except for last week where he lost to the Bengals at home. Oh, he lost him in Cincinnati. My apologies.
I got to look this up. Is this accurate that this is a 1:00 game that would be on the West Coast? That wouldn't make sense. That would not be a 11 a.m. game, right?
I don't know. You tell me.
I'm going to look it up because I don't know. That could play into the pick.
It doesn't play. Let me just say, but while you're checking, it does not play into the pick for me. I'm going to take Arizona. Going heavy on the favorites this week. Might do like a 10-team favorite money line parlay.
Doesn't matter for you. Yeah, that was incorrect what I was looking at. So it is a 4:00 game. I'm also going to take Arizona.
4:00. I mean, Kirk Cousins, nothing at 4:00.
No. Yeah, I was reading it wrong. It is a 4:00 game.
It might be my favorite thing of the Kirk Cousins stands. The people who are still hanging on. But do you know about Kirk Cousins on fake grass when the temperature is over 75? It's a 1:00 game. The other team that he's playing has a bird as a mascot, and the capital city shares at least 2 letters with the state name itself. He's basically undefeated in those situations. And I'm like, yeah. And also when he plays anybody that has this like a better than average pass rush, he's the worst quarterback in history.
He's 1-9 in Monday Night Football history, Kirk Cousins. That's what McCockiner does, though. I'll say he does those bullshit stats. That's all he does for Brady at this point. It's like, dude, you can cherry pick all the stats you want. Tom Brady's still the best.
I cherry picked the one stat I need for Kirk Cousins, which is when he gets as far as Case Keenum did with the same team, call me.
All right, so we're both going to take the Cards in that one. Atlanta travels to Tampa. Atlanta looked so bad last week.
They looked so bad.
And this is a big spread.
How big?
12.5.
Wow.
Bucks are 12.5 at home.
I made a statement so many times in this show. I'm like, there's something about this Falcons team. It makes me want to do it again, Andy. But at some point, I have to get off this train. I am not picking the Falcons again until it's like an absolute fucking sure thing, no brainer. And yet I think they might cover, but I'm still taking Tampa Bay.
I think they might cover too. I just can't do it.
Aren't they the Raiders? Aren't they the East Coast Raiders, though?
They are. The Raiders.
When they win this game, or is anybody going to be fucking shocked?
No. Or if it's a real close game to the end, no one will be shocked. I got to take the Bucks.
I got it. I might just ride the favorites. So I might just go heavy favorite betting.
Well, it seems like that's what we're doing.
No, I know, but I'm talking about financially.
Gotcha.
Especially since there's literally nothing on the line when we pick.
I guess not. Shots fired. Cowboys travel to SoFi Stadium. Tuck Coker will be there to face the Chargers.
Really? Did you talk to him?
I haven't talked to him. I'm assuming he'll be there. Not using my tickets, though. 3.5 point.
Not on my watch. Not going to work here anymore. That's for sure.
3.5 point Chargers favorites. I'm gonna take the Cowboys to cover.
Wow. I was really hoping you were gonna ride your season tickets. It's a tough one for me.
It's a real tough one.
That it's again, we get the Vegas has half pointed us this
well,
week.
and also that stadium, keep in mind.
I don't know, is this Vegas or is FanDuel? I need to talk to the people at FanDuel. It's half point bumps.
Keep in mind that stadium, I'm going to project right now. I bet it's 70. I bet it's as high as 75% Cowboys fans.
By the way, before I make my pick, can we just, since you brought up the fans, can we just talk about how great was that? Like on the Manning broadcast, and maybe somebody who watched the regular broadcast can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But I mean, 6 plays in the first quarter, they were like, this play was specifically because Raiders fans don't know to shut the fuck up. They were like, this is exactly what happened on this play. They're fucking totally unprepared that their fans are drunk monsters and don't know to stop talking when the offense is on the field. And Eli made great jokes about how Peyton had the Colts fans trained to be quiet. But like somebody who watched a regular broadcast, I'm sure they mentioned it once, but like the Mannings were like, this play and this play and this play.
Yeah, that was funny.
Specific thing happened because of them, because of the fans.
It was classic Raiders fans. They just didn't know how to shut up. Yo, fool, we turned down for never.
I think the Chargers win this game, and I know Washington's defense is really good. I would have liked to see more scoring out of the Chargers. I think it's a high-scoring game. I think it come down to the last kick. I'm also taking the Cowboys. We don't have a ton of different picks this week.
No, we don't.
I'm going to take the Cowboys. And you know what? I like taking the Cowboys. Then it's a win-win for me. If I get it wrong, I still win.
All right. The Titans travel to Seattle. Seahawks are 5.5. It's a big spread for me. I'm taking the Titans to cover.
Titans really looked bad last week. Did they go to Arizona last week and then they went back to Tennessee? Now they're going back to Seattle?
Last week was in Tennessee.
In Tennessee. Okay.
I mean, they got smoked at home. I'm going to take Tennessee too. I'm not, that's a lot of points. I think Tennessee's better than they looked. Dare I say, I think Seattle's not as good as they looked. I think Seattle can win this game. I think Seattle will win this game. I just don't think they're going to cover.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm going to take Tennessee.
Yeah, I think we only have 2 differences. Okay, Chiefs, Ravens. This is always a fun game with the 2 young quarterbacks. Chiefs travel to Baltimore for that 425 game. Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites on FanDuel.
No brainer. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, no brainer for me as well. This next spread is interesting. Sunday Night Football. NFC North division game. Lions at Packers. Packers. This shows after the Packers just got thumped. This shows how bad
are.
Packers are 11.5-point favorites.
Wow. In Green Bay?
Yeah. What are you doing there?
Me? I'm just waiting for you to make a pick.
This is Monday Night Football, by the way. I skipped one. We'll get back to that. 11.5 points.
What are you doing right there?
I'm taking Packers, dude.
Fuck. Kind of, it was just like I was trying to be quiet to let you talk yourself into the Detroit Lions and the size of the spread. I'm taking the Packers because it's Monday Night Football. I just think the ultimate Aaron Rodgers relax is come out in prime time, carve up the Lions. Oh, is everybody still fucking panicked? Cool. I'm gonna put my hair in a man bun now.
But this game is a big tell for me on the Packers season. I know it's the Lions. If they beat the shit out of them, I think everything's all right. If they don't, because it's Matthew. It's not Matthew Stafford. I mean, it's Jared Goff you're going against now. All right, so we have pretty much.
That was like a poker game. I was like slow playing it. Maybe I should have gone heavy. Maybe
I'll be honest. I was looking at the screen. I wasn't looking at you. So, all right. So those are week 2 picks. Now we have.
Did you say you missed the Sunday Night Football game?
I was again. I keep looking at it wrong for some reason. Sunday night is Chiefs Ravens.
Got it.
So we'll get to the calls discussing El Chain Gate. Before we do that, I want everybody to be drinking a nice, refreshingly cold Miller Lite when they're watching games this weekend. Joe, is there a better beer to drink while you're watching college or NFL football?
No, there's not. Andy, yesterday I realized I was down to like 8 Miller Lights, and I was like, I got a Giants Thursday night football game tomorrow. I better go. And honestly, I don't know. Maybe I didn't realize it. I don't know if I turned down my Miller Lite mini fridge or something, but I mean, God damn, is this beer cold? Gosh dang, is this beer cold? I mean, I am so excited right now that I have a Miller Lite mini fridge full of Miller Lite with Giants Red Dogs tonight. I mean, is there anything more American?
Yeah.
Than an good old fashioned NFC East rivalry, the original division with the original light beer.
Yeah. Miller Lite's been the light beer with great taste since 1975. So next time you're getting ready to enjoy cold ones with your friends, go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
I had to put on my Giants snow cap because I got so cold when I had this frigid golden Pilsner.
Yeah. I got a bunch of cold ones in my fridge up there.
I am excited right now. I can taste it. I can taste the excitement.
Okay, you wanna get to some of these calls? We'll start off.
Yeah. Now, before we get to the calls, I mean,
the calls are about El Chain Gate. I'm starting there.
Okay, you are starting there.
Yeah.
Okay. Before you start there, I want to talk. I want to throw out, because I know some people are going to have some ideas, but I want to get these two things have already been expressed. I got a direct message that I thought was a fantastic suggestion. Somebody said, Andy has basically become he who shall not be named in his welching on this bet. And he said, I think he should his punishment should be to become fully he who shall not be named. And you should have to defecate in a sock, throw it into McDonald's, and do it all on Periscope.
Not happening. Periscope doesn't exist, by the way, anymore.
I think it still exists, right?
No, I don't think it exists.
It's like Twitter live video, isn't it?
That's not happening.
I mean, I think your transformation into he shall not be named, somebody who's really your arch nemesis, I think is a fitting punishment. You should have to become he who you hate.
I don't hate him. He actually called me from Korea. He left a voicemail on my phone around Easter. It was actually a nice voicemail trying to extend the olive branch. For the record.
Well, good for you. My Venmo is still at Joe Prano if he wants to not extend the olive branch, but just not be a war criminal.
Well, I'm not pooping in a sock. I'm just going to put that out there. But we can hear some things out. We'll start with a few of these calls. We'll start with just a disappointed dirtball.
Hey, Joe and Andy, it's Mickey D, your number one Blackhawk pilot, dirtball again. I just listened to Monday's episode. It's Wednesday. But, Andy, reneging on a bet? Come on, man. What are you, shit-stalking, whatever that Bill spin from back in the day's name was? That is just uncalled for and just disturbing, upsetting. You ruined my day, man. Condoms are for people who welch on bets. Andrew.
Oh,
disappointment. Full name. He just basically He went full parent on you.
I know. The Andrew one's tough to hear. All right, let's get to Kyle Aronofsky. I knew he'd have something to say. I mean, long-time listener. So he's earned it. He gets his say.
What's going on, boys? Kyle Aronofsky calling back once again from beautiful Toms River, New Jersey, home of the 1998 Little League World Series champions. Andy going on that podcast and just not wearing the L chain. Like, yeah, I didn't wear it. Didn't want to wear it. Like, you guys talked about it. It's the whole point. So I think a fair punishment that would kind of loop in with the pick'em bets is he gets a 3-game penalty on this year's. So, if you guys are tied right now or whatever, then Prano will now be up. I think that will certainly deter him from doing it again, because we're not trying to rehabilitate him. We're just trying to punish him. I'm still fucking sick to my stomach about that. It was so gross. That's like with me and Prano's bet, me just being like, nah, I didn't want the tattoo. I'm not going to drink that 80 ounces of coffee, whatever. Pounds up for Ruther.
Kyle and I had a good discussion recently. We had to go to an arbitration about our 10-win Jets bet, and because now they've extended the schedule, and we had a very polite arbitration. It was settled, and the terms of the bet have changed. But I am confident that should I win, he'll get Ryan Fitzpatrick wearing a wizard hat tattooed on his body and drink 80 ounces of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. And, if he wins, like I told him, he could be on this podcast. We've even made an adjustment to that. Now that we do it via Zoom, I'll Venmo him what half the price of a ticket to Los Angeles will cost, and he will appear via Zoom. So that's exciting. That being said, I've seen a couple of suggestions like this, and I will say I decline on my behalf these type of suggestions for 2 reasons. One, so now I have some sort of head start toward another bet that you may or may not welch on. Also, how many of our 5 years of doing this have I won? I don't need a head start. You're going to melt down in the end like you always do. The only question is,
it's pretty even.
The only question is, when you melt down, will you welch on the bet or not? So like this head start nonsense, I'm declining with 100% certainty.
Okay, fair enough.
Because then I'll just get a head start, then I'll win, maybe not even need the head start, and then you'll just be like, nah, I'm not going to Kings Island. Fuck it.
Well, I briefly, again, I was out of town a couple of days. I briefly perused some things on Reddit.
Well, here's the thing, Andy, and honestly, on this show, we make mountains out of molehills. We create drama, and how seriously upset was I that you didn't? I mean, I was, again, like I said, I was more disappointed than I was angry, but when I said at the end of the show, hey, get on it, I've never seen our Reddit explode like this. I mean, multiple posts titled L Chain Gate, people going in and so quickly needing to write an L Chain Gate post that they start a new one with the same title as a post that is literally right there already. They're so angry. I'm almost more, I'm now taking this more seriously because of how serious the dirtballs are taking it.
Well, for the record, the dirtballs, they're taking it a little too personally for me, to be honest. Like, this isn't an affront on them. This is more between you and I would say.
I think I agree with them that we, this is a big part of the show.
But I'm also seeing false, like I briefly peruse things, and I also see false narratives that I just want to say just aren't true. Like the other bets I did, there was no, for the 100th time, there was no MAGA bet that was over you selling a certain amount of comedy specials, which didn't happen. So that's just a false narrative.
Okay. How about a hot dog in your butt?
The Sam Tripoli Fort saying, hey, I want to shove a hot dog in your ass when I'm on a Trader Joe's because we both agree the Kobe Bryant thing wouldn't be smart to do considering he died in a plane crash and now I don't live in LA and he wants you to shove a hot dog on my butt. What are we talking about here? Like, let's be honest. I took the fucking SAT. What are we talking about here? The Triple E thing was ridiculous. Can we both agree?
Well, I mean, the original bet was pretty ridiculous, although I said out of the gate, I'm like, hey, because Sam immediately came to me and I said, hey, what is it? First of all, what does this have to do with me? But I said, for me, I do not approve of doing some sort of after Kobe's dead mocking of Kobe. And I said to you guys both, I said, you guys got to settle it on your own.
Sure.
What the other plan is.
So again, I'm literally in a Trader Joe's in Los Angeles on the phone. And Sam's like, oh, you shove a hot dog up your, well, Prano shove, whatever he was saying. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Whatever, Sam. Like, whatever, Sam. Like, I don't really care about that to me. Like, but the false narrative and also I'll just be straight up with you. I stopped reading the comments when I read somebody saying, I don't care about the show. Like, that's egregious. Like, dude, I've been doing this for 7.5 years. Like that's egregious.
I think hurt people, Andy. I think you hurt some people and they acted. They said things that maybe were not true because they feel like you hurt them.
Well, I'm sorry if I hurt anyone.
Hurt people.
But again, I would say, I'm sorry if I hurt anyone. I would say the truth is, for anybody to be the maddest, it should be you.
Anybody what?
The person who should be the maddest should be you. That's what I was trying to say. It's between you and I.
Yeah. But again, we could make this bet off the show, but we make it on the show and we make people through. We strategize it. We have people that, keep track. We have people who are invested. And the reason we make the bets is for the shame to the loser. I got to say, another suggestion I saw on Reddit, you taking a gender studies course at a community college and having to get a certain level of grade, or you have to take another class, was a pretty good one too.
Okay. I am way more open to that than pooping in a sock and throwing it in a McDonald's.
Okay. Good to know.
In fact, my oldest brother, Elliot, who doesn't get too much love on the show. He's not a big sports guy. He works at Cincinnati State Community College.
Great.
So I have an in.
Ask him to bring home a pamphlet. Ask him to bring home whatever they call that fucking list of classes.
So we can start there as far as
start there. Okay. I like it. Getting the ball rolling.
As far as I am willing to.
But now it should be said, since the LJ bet was from 2019. I don't want you graduating with the Cincinnati Community College class of 2035.
What's a class, Joe?
I know.
It's a Cincinnati State
doing jokes here.
Okay. What would it be? A C? I think that's fair.
Oh, first of all, it's funny that you should say that because somebody said NA, and I was like, that's ridiculous.
Because that's arbitrary too.
A C, I think a B is the correct answer. You need to just get a straight B, which in community college, let's be honest, is a C. A B is a C. NA
I don't know.
Is a B. I don't think anybody's graduating community college magna cum laude.
What were some other ones that you saw?
Those were the ones that jumped out to me. I did like the gender studies community college course. Do we have another call about it, or were those the two calls?
Those were the two main calls about it.
Okay. Well, you guys can dive into the Reddit. You can dive into the Reddit. I know you said you won't.
Well, I don't want to see, I'll be honest, man. I got two, I don't want to read negative shit. The genders, that's funny. But when people come at me personally, there's a reason I've been off social media. I just don't want to read personal attack, someone judging me and how I treat the show. And I don't want to get that juju around me. That's the truth. And I'm like, okay, cool, dude. You think this, I disagree, and everything would say that. So, but I'm also not going to get worked up about it. Hence, I'm saying it on air. So you can tell me, oh, this is a good idea.
Well, guys, I'm monitoring the Reddit.
You know,
The gender studies one, good thing. And it was, you got to get a B or you got to take yet another class until you get a B. It was till you get an A, but I'm going to go with B. So stay on the Reddit, guys. And also, you guys, the Dirty Sports Reddit is the only time I've learned a lot about Reddit from being on the Dirty Sports Reddit. Not a big Reddit user, but you could put a lot of it, Dirty Sports, podcasts, thoughts, opinions, sharings, all that stuff on Reddit. We also obviously still enjoy thoroughly when you share like your pictures of you out Miller Lighting on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. But the Reddit, our Reddit forum has turned into an interesting place. Andy doesn't like it. It's fine.
Since I didn't like, I don't like negativity. I'll be honest. Like I don't think I do that anymore as much. And I don't want to, I think there's so much negativity. I love sports. I love talking about sports. I just like, I hate going on social media and it's just the same crap. And I'm like burnt out, man. I'm just like all the shit I've been through and dealt with. And I'm like, I just like I'm not changing anyone's opinion. It doesn't mean that people can't have opinions, but again, like personal affronted attacks. I'm just like, dude, I watched my fucking parents die. Like, in real time. Like, you're gonna come at me with that. I'm just gonna put that to the side because I don't.
Yeah, but you got to listen. Everything.
I don't want to deal with that.
I think sometimes you see stuff like that. It's like, stick around. 10 people jumped in and were like, "That's bullshit." Andy does care about the show. Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, one person coming at you. I mean,
But that's kind of my point. Like, you see, my point was like, I don't want to stick around because. I just like you again, Joe, you and I've been doing this for 7.5 years. Like, you guys can come at me for all you want for welching on a bet. And I'm here for that. And I'm here for the gender studies. I'm here. I did see one that said I should suck a guy off or something. Like, I was laughing at that. Wearing a Russell Wilson jersey or something. Like, I saw some wild, like, that's funny. But like, I don't know.
I think your punishment should be cock. Yeah. I think the guy should have to say he's Mr. Unlimited Cock.
I think we're getting somewhere. I'm literally pulling it up right now. Cincinnati State Community College. And I put in gender studies. I'm seeing what they offer. They're going to have stuff like that. Oh my God. 3 credits, the sociology of gender. A course on concepts and theories of gender. Topics include development of sex roles, how sex roles affect individuals and social institutions, and changing role patterns in the United States and elsewhere.
I just love the idea of you going to this class thinking that you're just got to get a B to get it over with. And suddenly Cincinnati State Community College is on fire because you and somebody who identifies as a they are in a heated, screaming argument across the gender studies class.
No, I wouldn't go in with that. I really wouldn't, especially with that being the main community college and my brother works there. No way. I would never do that. Like I am more at this point, like, fascinated where people say things and I'm like, that's interesting. I don't have to agree with you. Definitely it's a white they with purple hair or blue hair. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I mean, there was a time where I identified as a white they with purple hair, but that's because I don't welch on my bets. Okay. Oh, all comes well played. Back around.
Well played. Touche. Well played. Well played. But again, like, let's just give bet ideas. I'm sorry if I hurt any dirt balls. That's a sincere apology. I don't want to hurt you guys. I was shocked because I felt like they were way more hurt than you. You were pretty chill about it, but now it seems like you're not, because you're like, look, you hurt your kids.
Well, I did listen. This is what I kind of knew that this would be the thing. I told you I wasn't as mad as much as I was disappointed. I really shook my head more than being like, huh. I shook my head. I was like, wow. I tagged him in this and he just said, yeah, I did. I didn't wear the L. I just shook my head as like I was like more stunned disappointment than anything.
Did you want me to like just deny it, or what did you want?
No, I almost thought you would like scramble for an excuse. You know what I mean?
I didn't make one.
Right. I know. And that's like, it's almost worse, and then that's the reason I said go to the Reddit, because I knew there would be other people out there that were more angry about it than I was. I had the disappointment. I knew there was going to be anger. But when I opened the Reddit, I didn't know how much I would see. And now I think we just have to take, we have to have ears open to our fan base and, make things right for everybody.
Like, let me just read it. We won't do any more calls today. 310-359-8365 is the hotline. You guys can weigh in. I will read the one that made me laugh. Titled L Chain Deep Dive. What Ruther has done is truly despicable. Let's be honest. The only thing we really have in this crazy, miserable world is football and our word. In the display of debauchery and cowardice, I have lost my respect for Denty. It's not right, man. See, this is funny. It's making me laugh. Kings Island can redeem himself. I propose this. It's the only way. Ruther has to find a single homosexual man and give him oral while this individual wears a Russell Wilson jersey for 3 minutes. Doesn't have to be to completion.
That's nice of him.
But it could be. That's part of the suspense. Mr. Unlimited. I'm not gay, but if we can't find anyone, I'll wear the jersey and take the blowy because I believe in principle of never welching on a bet. Again, I'm not gay.
He doth protest too much.
One last thing before you think this is too harsh of a punishment. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but isn't it kind of weird that Ruther wreaks havoc on 9/11 anniversary ? Trying to sabotage him and his co-host trust on the anniversary he sabotages the tower's metal beams. Just look into it. Justice for dirty sports, justice for American football. That was funny.
Two times bookending. It can be my dick, you suck. I'm not gay, but I'll take your blowjob, but I'm not gay. And nor should you have to be. I understand what he's saying. We're all on it's all a spectrum.
It is. We're all on a spectrum.
He's like, I'm not gay. I'm just trying to do right by the Dirty Sports podcast.
I appreciate that. So yeah, like Joe said, you can chime in on the Dirty Sports Reddit. You can call in at 310-359-8365. And even though I don't do anything for the show, you can leave a podcast review because I will send you koozies on my dollar to your address. Just leave a iTunes podcast review with the Twitter, Instagram handle.
If you don't feel comfortable sending your complaints and or suggestions to Andy Ruther electronically, you can come deliver them to me in person at any one of my shows. I'll be in Escondido this weekend at the Grand Comedy Club. I'll be at the Night Lizard Brewing Co. I think that's it. In Santa Barbara this weekend on Saturday. And of course, I will be headlining the brand new and gorgeous Comedy House New Orleans, October 1st and 2nd, followed by Giants versus Jameis in the Caesars Superdome. So if you're anywhere in the dirty South, down there in the Bayou, come out and see me in New Orleans. It's going to be a fun weekend of shows and eating and drinking and football. And I hope you'll join me. And follow me on all social media at Joe Prano, except for Twitter, where I'm Fix Your Life. And drink Miller Lite and send me pictures. And go Giants.
All right, that is the show. I will be curious where this goes, since I'm apparently a welcher, even though I've basically completed every bet that I've lost to you, correct? Minus this one.
Yeah. It sounds right. I don't know if there was others that I'm forgetting. Somebody put together a full list, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Mata, and he was just wrong. I'm just saying, like, you're just flat out wrong. Again, he like putting things that were not ever in our, what's it called? Pick 'em bet. You're just wrong, dude. Like, I appreciate all the work you do for the show, but you're just not right here. And coming at me on the Juggalo, like he took too long, dude. Well, I fucking completed the bet. I dressed as a Juggalo. I went to a concert as a Juggalo. It's unbelievable.
Is there like a Juggalo commune where you could like live for a couple weeks, like as a Juggalo, like infiltrate the Juggalos, like be a Juggalo?
Like an FBI.
Yeah, like you're like undercover as a Juggalo.
I think we've already done that one. All right, let's examine some of these other ideas. I think community college, we're on the same wavelength. Not too sure about blowing somebody wearing a Russell Wilson jersey or pooping in a sock, but we have a head start. Although the blowing somebody would be a lot quicker than going to class for 3 months. I'm just saying.
Also, it would definitely help you understand gender. It would be like it would be a crash course in gender studies.
Yeah.
You're like, I just identify as losing a bet.
There you go. And it could be a transsexual.
Yeah.
I feel like I got canceled for saying it could be a transsexual.
I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules.
That's what the class would be for.
Yeah, exactly. This is why you should go to gender studies class.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Leave your calls. Leave your Reddit posts. Joe will peruse them for me. Joe will put in more time into that than he has reading the rundown for 7.5 years.
I mean, I've always dove in and out of the Reddit. And first of all, I read the rundown today. And second of all, sometimes it's best to not read the rundown so I can be, I can react in the moment.
No, it's all good.
We don't need to, what do they talk about? The first 15 plays, they script the first 15 plays.
Yeah. Peyton was talking about that.
Sometimes you just got to get up to the line and start pointing and audibling at different things. And I said it before, but I'll say it again. Honestly, Andy, you got to do it so we can talk about it on Monday, but dirt balls, the Once Upon a Time in Queens is banana land.
Okay.
It's so fun.
I'll check it out. All right, guys, that's going to be our show. Have a great week. And as always, stay dirty.